And of course, Tim's around the corner over here in the house, and I'm in the house. So, how's everybody doing tonight?
Good, you?
Not
Tired.
Not too bad. Not too bad. It's it's a fantastic night. It's a good night to be Canadian, I guess, and good night.
Why is it good night to be Canadian? Because you got the sign behind you, so I'm curious. Great White North. What does that mean?
Have you ever heard of Bob and Doug McKenzie?
Of course.
This is their background.
Yep.
Is that their background?
Yeah. So we almost should have started off the show with goo.
Yeah, I was gonna say goo.
Oh, Candace, please. Please, you can click off at any time. I can't.
Oh, ha 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 ha.
No, I was just thinking today, I was like, well, what can I use as a good Canadian background? I've already done the heritage moment. So I was like, oh, let's go with the Great White North.
Hey, maybe if you were in the States, you would have had a big banner at the back that said, I took the 5th.
Apparently that's already taken.
But who said that? What's happened with that?
Donald took the 5th.
Yeah, he took the 5th in his deposition today.
So I got a question for you because I didn't have time to Google it. What exactly does it mean by taking the 5th?
Well, the Fifth Amendment, it's a right within the Constitution that they can't make you incriminate yourself.
But just by invoking it,
doesn't that incriminate yourself?
I was just going to say that. Doesn't that make you?
Say, if you were going to testify to something that would put you in a bad light, you're allowed by law in the States to plead the Fifth Amendment. Now, in a way, it almost makes it feel like you're guilty, but you're not actually putting yourself in worse trouble than you already are. So let's say, for example, I was an American and I was being charged with the murder of Joe Blow over on Main Street. Well, if the reason I was on Main Street that night was because I was robbing Harvey Humpscruncher, I would be like, these are just names. I would be like, they would like, well, why were you on Main Street? And I would be like, well, I'm going to plead the 5th. So I'm on charge for murder, but I didn't commit murder, but I was there for another crime. So I'm pleading the 5th because I'm not going to say, oh yeah, I went there to rob someone. Because then, then I may get off of the murder and then I'll get charged with the robbery. So that's kind of.
So do we think that that's what Trump is trying to do? He didn't commit this, but there's other things.
According
it wasn't a staff barbecue, that's for sure.
This was under his lawyer's advice. So, there's probably a lot of different reasons, and we'll never probably know the exact reason he was advised to do that by his lawyer, but it's going to be interesting. I mean, because you probably heard about the whole thing in Key Largo and the giant FBI raid.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
They took a lot of boxes out of there, and it's going to take them a while to go through that. So people who are thinking, oh, we're going to find out any day now what's going to come of that, probably not. It's probably going to take them a month to get through all of that.
Why did they raid him? I seen the headline, but I didn't read the article.
There's a few different. The biggest theory is that when he left the White House, he took documents with him that were classified. Now, let me throw another little caveat at you. One thought is that they don't actually care about those classified documents, but they're using those classified documents as a way to get a handle on all of his documents, because they could just take it all. And let's say, for example, there's evidence in there that relates back to the January 6th uprising. They would then legally be able to use that against him.
It's like a cop pulling you over and having reason to card you or to have reasonable cause to search your car.
So I don't think they really care about the classified documents, and they probably weren't very serious classified documents. Like I said, it's just he just gave them a key that they could use to get him.
All ex-presidents get classified documents all the time, even being an ex-president.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Yeah, they do. Aren't they kept in the loop of the daily update?
I think they're kept in the loop, but I don't know what these documents are. These are probably documents that are supposed to take out of the White House.
Maybe this is a way to screw with the next election.
Well, I don't know if they're going to screw with the next election. I mean, they're still 2 years away from that. But
but if they can put a case against him, then he can't run as a president.
That's right. It would make him ineligible for that. Yeah. So he wouldn't be able to run.
So that might be what they're doing.
But do you honestly think there's any doubt, no matter who is at the helm, that it's going to be a Republican president next time?
It depends on what the Democrats do. If the Democrats are smart and don't run Biden again and find somebody pretty much somebody like an Oprah, if you were to bring in an Oprah and run Oprah against, a Republican, she probably would win. So they're going to have to almost play that type of card where they need somebody insanely popular. Hillary won't. I don't think Hillary can do it.
Michelle Obama could.
Yeah, Obama would be another person who would be an excellent choice if they want to do that. Otherwise, it'll probably slide over to the Republicans. But it's hard to say. Like, if Donald Trump isn't running, that will take a little bit of the win, because Donald Trump has almost like a feverish, it's almost like a cult-like following.
Right.
So it'll be very interesting, I think.
Well,
the next 2 years.
I was traveling around Brantford today doing medical fitness to drive assessments, and there's 2 pickup trucks, and I think we've all seen them in our cities, where they're the older pickup trucks and they got the big huge flags on the poles out the back of bed of their car, and the stuff written in soap on there, and it's the the black flag for Trudeau. Or today it was something to do with France and Canadian flags and the finger. I have no idea what that meant, but c'est la vie.
I don't have a clue either about if there was anything with France in the news, but hey.
Nope. No idea.
Marie Claude I agreed with me. I just jumped. I beat her to the punch on the Michelle Obama situation, but there you go.
So here's a thing. Do we think that female leaders are more effective than male leaders?
Oh, geez.
No, Nance, just cool your jets.
Let me give you my answer is
because
leadership shouldn't be a gender thing.
I understand.
It should just be whoever is. Now, would a woman be better than a man in some situations? Yes. Some situations, no.
Maybe I was misunderstood. I think that what was her stake? Thatcher, when she was in power, she kicked ass. Like, she was a no bullshit person. And she just, like, that's what I meant. I don't
keep
mean
in mind,
that it's not based on female versus male.
Person, that's what you need.
Right.
It doesn't matter. Like, if you were to take somebody like Oprah, she would probably be a no bullshit person.
Do you think?
I actually think she would. I mean, remember, most people are looking at her as her TV persona. But if you've ever heard the stories about behind the scenes and how well she ran everything almost like methodically, I think that would translate into something a lot more no bullshit style as a president, for example.
Do you know what I think makes good leadership? I think good leadership is all about the team that you build around you. And if when you have the right people working around you, it's like magic can happen. If you do not have the right people and they're not in alignment with you, it can stall progress. You could be like wheels grinding together with no lubrication. Like, it's just an awful situation. So I think behind a good leader, male or female, is the team that they assemble. Now, I mean, it's a touchy subject for me right now, but I would say that from a leadership point of view, it's those leaders, male or female, it doesn't matter, that understands diversity of thought, having a group of thinkers around you that, from all levels. You have to have people like me that are outside the box thinkers, that think big picture, that think, then you need people that are more detail oriented, like Candace, that would go get into the details about things and be methodical about, Nancy, we shouldn't do that idea. Good thought, but this is the outcome of that. You need to have a diverse team of people around you. And those that choose to do that make exceptional leaders in this world.
Yeah, absolutely.
But unfortunately, oftentimes what I find is people who get into power, what they want to do, because they're potentially insecure about who they surround, some people who might come off a little bit stronger than them, what they tend to do is they tend to then put yes people around them. And when you take that course of action, you may grow for a short period of time, but because you've surrounded yourself with everybody that's just like you, then you're not going to have explosive growth, in my opinion.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think that's where Donald Trump failed as a president, is that he had his yes people, and anybody who did disagree with him, he would then start to attack them in the press, in the media. And that makes it hard to really build that solid team to pull things together. Now, he did accomplish a lot while he was in power. I don't want to take away from him, but I think he could have done a lot better. And I think the whole fact that, like the whole January 6th, all of that stuff did not need to happen. And I think as well, if he would have worked on his image and had a good team and didn't air every piece of laundry every time somebody annoyed him, if he wasn't attacking them in the press, he may have won that election. But he sort of threw himself under the bus. And that was where everything sort of fell apart. And that, of course, led to January 6th and everything else.
Well, it's interesting. We talk about this. I don't know how much you're following stuff, but I think it was just tabled in the legislature today that Toronto and Ottawa, that are the mayors, are now being given back the power. It's called the Strong Mayors Building Homes Act, which allows them to veto things and give them a lot more power in the direction of their own area.
Mm-hmm. Like what kind of power?
I'm just bringing it up now. The proposed changes outlined in legislation would allow the mayors of Toronto and Ottawa to override council approval of a bylaw when they are of the opinion that using the veto would further a provincial priority.
How is that part of a democratic process, though?
Well,
the veto can then be overruled by 2/3 of the council, which has to be, it just goes on and on and on. Oh, it says authority to hire and fire department heads. The tabling of legislation comes about 3 weeks after news first surfaced that the Ford government was considering any U.S. style strong mayor powers to the chief magistrates of Toronto and Ottawa. In addition to the veto power, the legislation also provides a suite of other new and enhanced powers to the mayors of Ontario's 2 largest cities. One of the major changes would see the responsibility of preparing budgets shifted from city council as a whole to the mayor's office.
Yeah.
Well,
the changes would also give the mayor sole authority to appoint a chief administrative officer, hire and fire department heads, and create or organize departments. What do you think of that? What got me was a U.S. style strong mayor powers.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty big. And it's interesting too that they chose just particularly 2 cities, larger cities.
Yeah.
I almost wonder if this sort of goes back to the whole convoy thing, and having a mayor with a lot more power, maybe he could have gotten it under control a lot faster. I don't know if this is sort of brewed out of that, but it's kind of
why does the mayor have to get something under control that, pardon my French, the prime minister fucked up and could have totally taken care of?
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying that I'm for it. I'm just saying that's probably where I think it might be coming from. But
I don't know. That's tough. I mean, that's without getting into the nitty gritties, that's a pretty broad spectrum to give the power to a mayor's office. Because you could have, I'm not 100% sure, but I do know, and I have heard through the grapevine, and this is secondhand, and just that, Hamilton is an absolute mess with its city council and mayor.
Maybe it's because you said it said Toronto and Ottawa, right?
Right now it is, yeah.
Maybe it has to do with the size of the cities.
Well, what about Vancouver?
Different province.
Yeah, this sounds. I think.
Oh, right. Sorry. Yeah. Well, you know.
Maybe if they're going province, this could be a test run, right? And then other provinces will follow suit.
What's the negative about this? Does it take us to? Is this leading us to a socialist society?
I don't think so. I mean, one of the big stipulations of this is that his override has to be because of it's moving in terms in line with the province. So it almost sounds to me that that Doug Ford is kind of
getting in cahoots.
Kind of not in cahoots, but just making sure that the mayors fall in line with things that he is doing, and giving them the power to be able to do it. Because if you remember, when he first came into office, a lot of the changes he was making in regards to Toronto, there was a lot of pushback. Because when he was talking about minimizing the size of the Toronto municipal government, they were pushing back like crazy. And I think he's just sort of setting things up so that they don't have that ability to do it. He only has to worry about the one person.
I think the fact that he was reducing the size of councils and stuff like that was brilliant. I mean, we've got way too many people in power.
Oh yeah, I'm
we
not
got way too many people in power. I mean, the little chip stand has its own councillor in Toronto.
Yeah, no, I think even when we look at our federal government, I think we've got too many MPs.
Yeah. So, do you think that this is a positive or negative, and we'll play it all in the fall municipal elections?
I don't know if it's going to be a positive or negative. I can't call that, but I think it's going to be one of these things that it'll either be something we look at as being very good in the long term, or we're going to look back at it and say, oh my God, that was a terrible thing to do in the long term. So I don't think it's going to be like a moderate. It's going to be either it's going to turn out to really succeed or really fail.
See, if you're in a municipality right now and your mayor really hasn't done you wrong, I mean, you're always going to have those naysayers that get pissed off because, you know, they've ticked off an elected official, and then that starts, and then that just brews and brews and brews and brews and brews. But it really may see. I always look at something when something like this happens. I say, well, right now we kind of don't see any problems in municipalities or that we know of. Right? So it's what's the big deal? However, on the other side of that coin, I say, why are they bringing this in? What's the future purpose of this?
Right.
It's, and to Ken's point, you know, maybe because it was because of the demonstrations and stuff like that, right? And it's like, yeah, but those don't happen very often, and I don't think they're going to happen very often. So that's a really weak choice of an excuse to use to bring something like this in.
And I'm strongly, the more I think about it, I think this is just a Ford maneuver, just to make it a little bit easier for him to make future changes within the province.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, because right now,
put them in their back pocket. Is that what you're saying?
I don't want to say putting them in their back pocket. I think he just wants to make it easier to get things done. You know, if you're going to approach a city that some of your changes is going to impact, you only with this new system, you're only going to have to convince one person to come on board, opposed to convincing an entire council of people.
I don't know about that.
Well, and keep in mind, and not to say that this happens, but if it's one person, you could always then barter a bit. Like, okay, here's what I'll give your city if you support this.
But there's always losers, and usually there's more losers than there are winners in deals like this.
Well, there's always. I mean, that's politics.
Right.
That's kind of the whole nature of the beast. You know, and of course, us as investors, our goal is just to understand what's going on so that we can make money no matter which way it goes.
Right.
You know, it's one of the things, because sometimes, and I see this, like, because we're all human, right? So we all have our emotions, and sometimes, you know, we get outraged because, you know, government's doing A or government's doing B, where the smart thing to do is to sit back and sort of be thinking ahead of time. Okay, if they do A, how can I make money? If they do B, how can I make money? You know, just your investor part. Obviously, outside of your investment, you can be annoyed at the government saying that's horrible. That's kind of almost like a dictatorship type move. But as the investor, once you check that emotion aside, always look at both sides. Try to figure out, how do I make money with A or B? That way, you're going to be prepared. Because sometimes, and I've seen this with some investors, they get so emotionally wrapped up in what's going on that they don't make plans for the one they don't want. And when the one they don't want happens, they don't make any money.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well. Hey, Candace.
Hi.
Marie Claude wants to know about your map.
It's from the 1970s, Marie.
Is that really when that was on? The 70s?
Yep. SCTV on Late Night Canadian.
Back I remember SCTV.
Yeah. Now Marie Claude is comparing me to Kevin O'Leary.
What branded beer were they drinking? Canadian or export?
It was something. I mean, it depends, like if you're watching the show or their movie or...
Wasn't it just Pilsner? Wasn't it Pilsner?
It wasn't a movie. In the movie, it was Pilsner beer.
Well, let's go take a looky.
I'm not sure on the show itself.
I'm looking too. Bob and Doug McKenzie.
Everybody. There we go. According to Jordan, it's export.
Red Cap.
Was it really? Red Cap. Red Cap is Jamaican, isn't it?
Well, let me just share my screen and you can see.
Oh, it is. It's what is it?
It might be.
Maybe that's a Molson beer commercial. I can't use that.
But what they may have done too is, the brand itself might actually.
Can you guys see that?
Oh, the background looks familiar.
Yep, Red Cap.
Red Cap.
No, and that's probably a fictional beer because then they don't have to pay for any kind of licensing.
Oh,
right.
But that was in the day when the beer companies didn't really understand.
No, it was a real beer.
Not that they should be wanting to put their advertisements on all of that, because just like Ken drinks his Tim Hortons should be paying Ken because he's on these streams all over the place, and he should have a free coffee subscription to Tim Hortons. As far
I want everybody to email Tim Hortons and give them your gup about it.
Speaking of Tim Hortons, they had a class action suit that's they've got a settlement in the works. Apparently, the class action suit is because of the Tim Hortons card. So the Tim Hortons card was tracking people and sending location data to Tim Hortons. And so what Tim Hortons has proposed to do is everybody who has that app
gets a free coffee.
Gets a free coffee and a free baked good. So a coffee.
What? Yeah.
I got my email offering me my free coffee and my donut. So I'm
what?
Like, I got an email from it because I have their card.
Like do you like Timmy's?
I only go there when it's free. So, like, for example, if you said, hey, Candace, let's go to Timmy's, I'll be like, I don't really want to go. And then you'll be like, okay, I'll buy. And I'll be like, yeah, let's go.
Oh.
And how many times? Go ahead.
When I used to work in a print shop, where I wasn't allowed to accept tips. So sometimes customers were like, well, I really want to tip you because you do an awesome job. I'm like, just give me a bunch of Tim Hortons cards. I'm allowed to accept them.
Mm-hmm.
And
Ken, go ahead.
Go ahead.
That's awesome. Ken, how much Tim Hortons do you drink? Like, are you a 2 coffee guy a day, 3? Like, what is your coffee consumption look like?
Depending on how long my day is and where I'm located, 2 to 3.
So, okay, do you get up and make coffee at home before you leave? Then you stop on the way to work and get a coffee, or are you? What is that day? What's your day look like?
I get up in the morning and I make a coffee to take my medication with. Mm-hmm. Then I get to work, get all that stuff taken care of, and then when I leave work, I stop at Tim Hortons and I get a sausage breakfast sandwich and a double-double. Mm-hmm.
Well,
and then I have 3 bottles of water with me in my cooler. But if I'm feeling tired and I'm in the location of a Timmy's, then I'll grab another Timmy's. So it just depends on the day.
So in other words, the last time you had your urine tested at the doctor's, it was a double-double?
It was a triple.
Well, there you go. Okay, I have to say their food has gotten somewhat better. I was very not thrilled with the offering there, but they've been upping their game. Those new loaded bowls and those new chicken sandwiches are pretty decent, like for there. Like I got to the point where I couldn't even order half the stuff because I thought I didn't like when they toast a bagel, it was like warm bread, warm gooey bread, like toast the darn thing. Toast, crunch, that's what toast is supposed to be, warm bread.
Yeah, but how much does that all cost?
What do you mean?
Well, how much does it cost if you went in there, got your toast and a coffee?
I don't know.
Less than $5. Well, depending on the size of the coffee. If it's a medium and a bagel, it's just under $5.
Yeah.
This is part of the problem, Candace, about people not going back to the office. All these QSR places that would normally be getting, like we get Tim Hortons once in a while, but if I was going to work, it was like habit. I would pull in, grab my coffee before I got to the office, always. And I don't even know why, because we have coffee at work, hot coffee, good coffee, but it was just the thing. You just pulled in and you did that. And sometimes I got a little breakfast and sometimes I didn't, depended on what was going on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But we look at all the money we're saving because we're not doing that anymore.
Yeah. Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah. Hey, Len or Joey is on. It's probably Joey.
Len.
How you doing?
It's Len. Probably
it's Len. Sorry, Len. They had an interesting thing talking about food on their show on Monday night. And since they mentioned it, it's come up on my YouTube ad as an ad. So you guys heard about Pizza doing their, have you guys heard about this?
Oh, right. I forgot them saying that.
I don't know all the details. I was going to try to look them up, but they're going to hold their price of a large pizza for the next
year. I think it was.
Four toppings, extra large pizza.
What were they calling it? The inflation? Oh, Len, you'll have to correct us again.
We know what's interesting with Pizza. They've recently added cauliflower crust. So if you want non-bread crust, you can.
I doubt that that's part of the $16.99 deal that they've got. This is probably for their, the plain crust. And
I think with most of their deals, you can pretty much choose your crust and your sauce. It's just if you go with extras. So I think you probably would be fine.
Do you know what's interesting when you talk about marketing schemes in food? I don't know what I was reading, but A&W went out against McDonald's when they came out with the quarter pounder with cheese. And their marketing scheme was they were going to order a third pounder for less price. And do you know that their sales actually dropped because people in their mind thought it was less meat?
Really?
Yep. Swear to God.
Yeah, it's all about advertising.
Fixed rate pizza.
Well, I'm just looking up the details on it, and it just says, okay, so it's finally come in. It says, what is fixed rate pizza? Inflation is on the rise. Gas prices keep getting higher. Rent costs and mortgage rates are off the charts. Fixed rate pizza offers stability and peace of mind, knowing your pizza price won't increase along with inflation. No matter how bad inflation gets, your pizza price stays the same. So it's there's extra large 4-topping pizza, fixed price. So
it's brilliant marketing.
But I know, but you have to get approved. Get approved today by filling out the following questionnaire. Oh my
pineapple
God,
or no pineapple? Oh my God, you're sunk, Nancy, if it says pineapple.
You know what? The questionnaire is funny. Do you like pizza? Do you so you go yes or no? Do you dislike inflation? Yes or no? Do you have a face? Yes or no? Does your face like eating pizza? Yes or no? Are you thinking about pizza right now?
There we go.
How about now?
I'm glad that it's easy because I'm invested in them and I want them to do well. So.
Oh, you're invested in them?
I do hold pizza, yes.
That's
just
good.
A slice of it though, right?
That's it exactly.
Oh.
Well, they should have a rise in their stocks.
Okay, but what I want to understand is, like, get
at least in the interim.
What I want to understand is
so crusty.
okay.
Sorry, Nancy.
I'm just trying to figure out, provide your address to see your local delivery or sign in to see the saved address. So I'm wondering,
Okay,
right,
here's the brilliance with marketing. So what they're doing is they're having you register so that you are basically one click away from ordering pizza. So when you order pizza, whether you want pizza or not, you may just take the pizza because it's going to be easier. You don't have to, enter in your address and everything else with some other company. Oh yeah, it just makes it easy. And plus, once you add in the inflation buster thing,
yeah,
it's a done deal.
So there is a premium charge, Candace, just an FYI. So there is a premium charge if you want a different kind of crust on this thing. Oh, okay. I just, what is just interesting on here is I'd have to do the actual math. Pizza is relatively inexpensive from an ingredient standpoint. Relatively.
Big markup on pizza. That's why there's
huge
so many places. Oh yeah.
Huge. What costs them the most, believe it or not, is the cheese. That's their most costly part of the whole thing. So it'll be interesting to see. Be interesting to see if this makes a difference. Ken, let me ask you this. Do you order from Pizza?
No. Once in a while, like their cheeseburger pizza is pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but would this change your mind if you knew that it was the set price? Would this change your mind, and would you order from Pizza?
What was the price again?
$16.99, extra large 4 topping.
That's pretty reasonable.
It'd be a toss up between it and Domino's.
But just think, I mean, in 4 months down the road, when Domino's has gone, up a lot more, you're still going to have the same nice price at Pizza.
Well, no, Pizza would be setting the standard, and the other companies would have to follow suit, or else they would lose to a cheaper pizza.
Yeah, but right now they haven't yet, so.
Right, so no, but when it comes into effect, if they do go that way, the other pizza places will have to follow suit. Like we get our pizza from a mom and pop shop here, medium, unlimited topping, $10.
Wow.
Yeah, and you can get feta cheese on it. They don't charge you extra.
Wow.
Well, there you go.
And that's still probably a 50% markup, believe it or not.
Oh, easily, yeah. Pizza's a big business, just like being a hot dog vendor.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, you want to talk about a really freaking brilliant business person? Here's a brilliant business guy. He owned a butcher shop in downtown Oakville, and he did a lot of his own. He did it. He would probably get in the whole sides of meat, and then he would, cut it up.
Trim them. He would trim he would trim all his meat. Then he would take his scraps, grind them up, put them into casings, make them into casings, and then sell them on the street, sell them out in front of his store. He had a sausage stand. The guy made thousands of dollars cash a week.
And that was on his scraps, because when he would be pricing out a steak, most people don't really realize this. Say you were going to the butcher shop and you're wanting to buy a perfectly trimmed ribeye steak or whatever, right? What they would have done is they would have sliced the steak. They would have figured out what the weight of it was. They would cost it out per pound. Then they would add, well, how long does it take to trim all this stuff? Take that off and add it on to the price. So when you're getting a perfectly trimmed, amazing steak ready to go, you've had all these added costs. But they've taken all of that trim meat off, which they've charged somebody else for in their end product, and they're using that. So they're getting paid on that trim stuff twice, basically. Smart.
I think he shut it down since COVID.
Well, I didn't see the barbecue out there. Maybe he couldn't find a kid. You know what he used to do? He used to hire a local kid to stand out there and do the barbecuing, and he'd give the kid 50% of the take.
Oh, wow.
No, he wouldn't.
I had friends that did it. There was 50% of whatever they could sell.
Well, the trim's already paid for, right? So why not?
Makes that kid loyal and honest because they want to be counting out the money at the end. Because any of that cash business, you always run the risk of the guy that's collecting the cash not being honest with you and not telling you everything that you got.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So it's at one point in time, Tim and I talked about getting an ice cream bike. You know, one of those little bicycles.
The Dickie D.
Like a Dickie D, right? You don't see those around anymore, which is so crazy. You'd think a Dickie D bike would be super popular now. Anyways, there's a couple of problems with it. And Tim and I explored a few of the problems. How do you actually keep the ice cream or popsicle
Dry ice
cold?
Yeah, there's a lot of, they have a lot of packs,
Right, but then we'd have to go way out and get the dry ice. There wasn't anywhere near us that we could get the dry ice. That was one problem. Then we thought, okay, well, we'll set it up the same way that the butcher shop does it. And we'll give them, they can take whatever, like they could almost buy, we would buy the popsicles or whatever, tell them that they had to hit this much cost for what was in there. Plus we would take 20% or something. And we thought, oh, this will be great. We'll get Wes, our son, and some of his friends to do this. It'll be a built-in summer job. Then so many people talked us out of it. Like health inspectors just kill you now, like on all that sort of stuff. Although I don't really know of anybody that's died of salmonella from a
No, it was the health department wasn't really the problem. They were on board with that because we just had to go through hoops and check boxes and stuff like that. The problem is that you think about the last time you saw a Dickie D, like think about it, guys. When was the last time you saw a Dickie D bicycle cart?
Back in '87.
Yeah.
Okay. Times were a little different than they are now.
What was so different?
Well, it was
the 80s was kind of weird.
Well, yeah. But I don't think it was. I mean, yes, I'm sure that the Dickie D guy got knocked off,
Oh yeah.
every once in a while. But I don't know that it would be as bad as it was today. And just the mere fact that they're out there circulating with traffic.
Yeah, but they were going in neighborhoods, residential neighborhoods. You've got this guy riding a bicycle down the Don Valley Parkway by the sounds of it.
No, but no matter where you go, there's more distracted driving now.
True.
Right? Even in the Walmart parking lot, there's more distracted driving, You got your Bluetooth hooked up. You got your favorite song playing and you're pushing this and pushing that, where before you slammed in a cassette or you just listened to the radio, right?
Did you guys used to? Okay, because we're all sort of the same age. So anybody that's younger listening to this is not going to understand. Do you know how many Saturday nights and Sunday nights I would sit there with my ginormous, I remember getting a fairly large, like not a boom box, but it's sort of, but it wasn't like a big boom box. It was like, little with the cassette thing. And you'd sit there and you'd be waiting for the top, the top 100 songs. You'd be trying to hit.
That was New Year's Eve.
You've been trying to hit record, but not hear the announcer's voice as you're trying to hit record so that you could keep a favorite song. Because I didn't have any money to be buying records all the time. Like had to wait till it came on the radio, and then and then
I did that.
Yeah, and then you go to pull it out, and it got snagged, and now you got all this tape. So you got your pencil in there, and you're twirling up your tape. How much time? Wasted.
The drug dealers were really quick at that.
Well, no,
all you do with the pencil
on it and you just swing it like this.
Exactly. Yeah, you just do the swing thing, and then
that's how you fast forward and rewind it really quick.
Yeah.
Or how many of us wasted some of our money because we returned DVDs or not DVDs, VHSs to Blockbuster, and we hadn't rewound them.
I used to tell the people when I drop off a DVD, I used to say, "Don't worry, I rewound it," and they'd look at me.
You couldn't go just crawl to bed after you finished a movie. You'd have to go rewind.
I used to take them and put them in different boxes with the different labels on them and send them back.
You know what the funny thing is they used to sell a high-speed rewinder like you had at Blockbuster and that. You could buy them like for your house. My grandfather had one. It looked like an old, like a classic car.
So he never forgot what he was saying.
And you could push it down and it would open up and you throw the case in it, the tape in it, and then you shut it and it just automatically rewound it.
All those things, you know, like here's the other thing. I was saying to somebody the other day, like it was a big deal when series were on TV. Like you literally Thursday nights, nobody really did much on a Thursday night because there was so much good TV on. And if you missed it, like just say you missed an episode, my God, then you're really lost. You didn't know what happened. And that could have been the week that JR got shot. Like you just, you know, and then you'd have to wait all summer until back to school. And then the new season would start and it would be exciting. You'd be like, you would just been talking about it. So who do we think shot JR, the whole 9 yards, but you would have waited all summer long. But then they would show you 1 or 2 episodes. Then there would be a break and they'd show you rewinds and then they'd show you another episode. I don't know how we kept track of what the hell we were watching on TV.
I don't actually know who shot JR.
I don't remember who did it either. Did we
every time I say who shot JR, Maggie Simpson pops into my mind, and I know that's the wrong answer.
Was it Bill Murray from Caddyshack?
Maybe.
Okay.
That was a great movie.
JR.
My biggest thing was running home after school to see Mike Douglas and to see Kiss on Mike Douglas.
See what?
Kiss on Mike Douglas. The Mike Douglas Show. It was one of those talk shows after school.
Oh, yeah.
My mom used to watch it.
Okay. My mom did too. So apparently, who shot JR? They all suspected it was Bobby, but in fact, it was Kristen Shepherd. But I don't know who played Kristen Shepherd. Now I'm going to have to Google that one.
Oh, Jesus. We're going down the Google hole.
See,
and there's all these people that are younger than us. If Sean's watching this, he'd be like, I don't know. I don't know what they're talking about. Oh, Kirsten Shepherd. Yeah, she was very pretty. She was the sister of Sue Ellen Ewing.
Oh, well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Holy Christ, on my next trivia game, I'll remember that, hopefully.
And she got pregnant. That was why she was mad at him. She got pregnant. So it was a whole, it was just a real crazy
time. Meaning to gun in the oven.
It was basically a soap opera that was at night.
See, my favorite soap opera at night was called Soap.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't fond of that. It seemed really stupid.
Well, that's the point. It was basically a mocking. It was mocking soaps.
Oh, yeah. You're right. Hey, Tim, Phil wants to know what year you graduated high school.
I was...
I graduated in 88, so you're 4 years older than me. 84?
Yeah, I started 79, and I went to grade 12, so 80.
Only grade 12? You didn't go to grade 13?
What do you call me, stupid? No, I didn't go to grade 13. Why would I go to grade 13? It was an unlucky number. How do you think my grades would have looked?
I went to grade 13 and I'm younger than you. How did you not go to grade 13?
Well, honey, some of us work with our hands and some of us work with our brains, and I chose the hands.
We didn't have a grade 13 in Nova Scotia, so.
Oh,
no, I'm before you, Phil. I think I was 82. No, 81. 81.
We had grade
79
13,
was grade 9.
Optional.
Yeah, 79 was grade 9, and I went for 4 years.
That doesn't make sense. Yeah, bad question.
That's why I didn't go to grade 13.
Still doesn't make sense. But did you go to grade 13, Ken?
No.
Did you go to school?
Yeah, I got kicked out eventually, though. When I was 18.
My uncle said he did grade 6 3 times, and in the third year he had his hand up before the teacher asked the question.
Well, here's the thing. I went from grade 12 to university. If you had to do grade 13 before university, who got the better deal? I got there a year earlier.
Well, grade 13 was like it was like college prep, pretty much.
And it still was very difficult. Like some of the courses, I did extremely well in math in high school. It was as if I'd never taken a math class in my entire life. When I went to university, I was like, what am I learning? I do not understand any of this.
Yeah. Well, calculus was brutal first year university, but a lot of it was a language barrier because my professor, I had a hard time understanding anything he said.
Yeah.
So it was almost like I had to teach myself the course from the textbook because I couldn't understand him. And
yeah, it's crazy.
So
yeah. So can we talk a bit about CPI numbers? Candace, is she frozen? She's frozen.
Am I frozen?
You're frozen.
Yep. The very interesting look. Oh, there you are.
Oh, there you are.
Oh, wow, that was funny. Okay. CPI, 8.5.
Yeah. 8.5, which was lower than they were projecting,
right.
and lower than last month, right?
Yeah. Well, last month we had a 9.1. So they were projecting 8.7. So the nice thing about that is if we got anything lower than 8.7, we were looking at a nice green surge in the market, and 8.5 was perfect. So as a result, of course, the S&P went crazy in the green direction. So that was a good opportunity for a lot of people to make a little bit of money. Now, tomorrow we got the wholesale numbers coming out, and we think they're going to be okay. And what this means ultimately is that when the Fed meets again in September, we're probably looking at a 50, maybe a 75, depending on, because there's one more CPI that has to come out before the Fed meets. And that will probably dictate whether it's going to be a 50 or a 75 basis point rate hike when it comes to that. But no, it was a good day. Everybody, even Bitcoin, went a little bit crazy with the CPI data, which is
it's just sitting shy of 24,000. So it's at 23,964. That's USD. Ethereum is at 1,862. Everything's looking like it's a lot of green today.
Hey, Ken, were you following that, or Candace, were you following that coin Fleur that did a rug pull?
I was not.
Fleur or Blur? It was.
No, I didn't even hear about that one.
Yeah.
But just back to the market for a second, we're probably looking at a half decent market for the rest of August. But as I mentioned last week, once we get into September, the bear market hasn't ended. It's just we're kind of like, actually, one of my videos last weekend, I called it the eye of the bear market. We're sort of in the eye where everything is nice and peaceful for a bit. Once we get into the fall, though, I think we're going to start seeing a lot more red, and I think we're going to start to really see things go back into very bearish territory.
And why would you say that?
There's a lot of things. One, we've got the Fed back again. There's going to be more rates raising. We also have a lot of, when you take inflation, you got people going back to school. We're going to start to see a lot of the economic hits across the board. People are not in their lazy summer mode. They're getting into the more serious back to work, back to life mode. And that's when we're really going to get hit by everything from the layoffs to the possible recession. So we don't know. Right now, the Economic Bureau in the US is not calling it a recession because we got good job numbers. But that's only a matter of time before those start to peel away and start getting worse. And they've already started getting worse in Canada as well as, well, in Canada, we actually had jobs shed last month. So we're already seeing it worse here than they are there when it comes to jobs. But I mean, we're all on borrowed time.
And then we have Christmas right after that, right? So
we do. So yeah, it'll be interesting.
Do you think it's going to be a bleak retail market over the Christmas season, or do you think everyone's just going to blow their
and no,
their proverbial wad and then just go, we've got to have one more kick at the can. Let's party until it's 1999 and away we go, and then deal with it in 2023.
There's a couple of factors with Christmas. One of the factors is that this is going to be the first fully open Christmas in a while. So a lot of people are really, really going to want to be doing the Christmas stuff this year. In addition to that, we've also got, because of the supply chain, we got all of this product that a lot of stores like Walmart are just backlogged with product. So Christmas is going to be an opportunity for them to try to just get rid of some of that backlog. So there's going to be hefty some prices out there. And I think people will probably take advantage of it, because it's one of these things, even in hard times, people will still somehow find or are willing to get deeper in debt just to, to make sure their families have happy Christmases.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to see that this year. You're going to probably see the sales are probably going to look pretty good at Christmas. So when I was talking about the bear market coming back, you might actually see another little sort of oasis in the bear market right around December. We may actually still get a Santa Claus pump this year.
Do you think next February and next May will be probably one of the better times to buy stocks, because everyone's going to be selling off to pay all their debt?
Well, the best time to buy stocks is all the time by dollar cost averaging, of course, because keep in mind, what I think is going to happen, even what I think is going to happen tomorrow, is entirely 100% speculation. Nobody knows. And even if you look at the experts, people who have studied this and have degrees out there yin yang and work on Wall Street, they're wrong a lot of the time as well. So you always want to be sort of careful with how you're handling this, and remember to take everything with a grain of salt. What's going to happen, and this is kind of weird, it's going to really come into where these recessions get called. If we get a recession that's not called until late into the year or even early into the next year, that could very well just impact the way people respond. Because people right now, businesses are already starting to tighten up their strings, because everybody's expecting the recession. Everybody thought that when we had that second month of GDP in the US, that a recession would be called. But you have to realize a recession is not just one thing. It's not just 2 negative quarters of GDP. It also has to do with the economy, and also as well how much we're manufacturing. So there's a lot of different factors taken in. And right now, everything else is fairly still strong, but it is not going to stay that way. It is getting weaker. Hence why, I believe in the US and probably Canada, you're probably going to see a recession towards the end of the year, maybe early next year. So 2023 may not be the best year. Like, we may not see a recovery until 2024. But I hope, and this is where I'm saying, I absolutely hope what I think, my speculation is wrong. I would be super happy to eat some humble pie and be completely wrong on this, because it would be nice to see this not drag out as long as it is. But I think people are going to have a rough time for at least the next year to maybe a year and a half.
Do you think we could actually sidestep a recession?
I don't think so, Tim. And the reason why I don't think so is because, like, I went out for dinner with a couple of friends last night, and the one friend had her stepdaughter for vacation, had come from Alberta, and she was saying that this daughter had bought a place in Slave Lake for $250,000. The place is worth just over $100,000 now. This gal is underwater on this. And how many people got caught in that? Like, there was that frenzy that was going on. People were buying houses, and there was such a frenzy, and there was bidding wars, and everybody was, and we said that what's going to happen is that this is going to, so we were in Burlington when we were having our little dinner, and it was interesting because we were standing and we could see this beautiful big condo building that was going up, and it's gorgeous. It's really super tall. It's going to have views of the lake. There's a pool in there and everything. But it has been delayed so many times that the people having occupancy in there, they put their money down. But there's a certain point, and I don't understand it, and I don't even want to try to butcher it, but there's a certain point where they have to hold on to it before they can sell it. So some are worried that they're even underwater on that before they even get into possession of it, because everybody was just snafuling anything that they could up. Like,
yeah. Well, the other thing too is keep in mind too, North America is not an island. There is serious stuff going on in the rest of the world, serious economic issues that are building. Even places as far away as China are having some serious issues with their real estate market. If the real estate bubble were to break in China, that's going to have serious impacts on the rest of the world.
But didn't it, though, on some levels? Wasn't there a news report that weren't there something about $5 billion people were trying to get their deposits out of the bank, and then they couldn't? Then there was a civil unrest over there, because you don't get a ton of news out of China. No, like, they're very private.
They put that down. Basically, what the Chinese or the CCP told everybody is that they thought that criminals were using these banking systems, and that's why they froze everybody's money, which was sort of more of a cover story. But right now, if you remember some of the issues that have been going on in the real estate sector in China, they haven't gone away. They have been, Evergrande, huge. Evergrande was sort of like the canary in the coal mine for what's happening. Well, now in China, you take Evergrande, there's at least 5 or 6 more big companies that are in the same boat as Evergrande, and the money isn't there to really bail them out.
Nope. But wasn't there something, Candace, where they were saying that the Chinese people were protesting and aren't paying now mortgage payments because they're trying to get themselves.
That's right.
They're trying to get their money back.
They're trying to get their money out. Now, keep in mind too, and this is the thing, fractional reserve banking, they use that in China as well. So the Chinese bank will only have at most 10% of everybody's money, that they have to hold on to. And that's why the government had to freeze the accounts, because everybody wanted their money out all at once. Because when they start seeing what's going on with real estate and that all of these contractors in China, people have paid a lot of contractors to build their houses, and the contractors have now all run out of money and they can't build the houses. So you've got all these people who are just trying to get their money back, and it's just turning into a giant mess over there.
If Tim Perry comes on, or when Tim Perry's on, he always once in a while will refer to the Creature of Jekyll Island. And I downloaded that on Audible Books, and I got through I'm still in the first chapter, but it's incredible to hear about that the bank actually, as you said, Candace, has only 10% of all the money that we put in. And it's a freaking mess. I have to go back and listen to it again, and I'm not even through chapter 1 yet, because there's just so much information there. And this guy calls it a cartel. He calls the Fed a cartel.
Here's the thing. Let's just give people a picture of how fractional reserve works. So let's say all 4 of us are banks. Somebody will come to Tim's bank and they'll give him $1,000. So Tim's got $1,000 that he's holding on for that person. But Tim only has to hold 10% of that. So he only has to hold 100. So he can then take $900 and he can give that to Nancy. Nancy only has to hold 10% of that. So that would be, in her case, $90. And then she could give the rest to me. I could hold 10%. I could give it to Ken. And so all of this loaning, we've actually created a whole bunch of money that doesn't even exist. And that's kind of how fractional reserve banking inflates the amount of money in the economy. And all of this, of course, leads to inflation. When you think about all the money printing that went on during the pandemic, that all went into banks. The banks kept 10% and lent the rest out as extra money. So everything got inflated. It's almost an exponential amount of extra money out there. So if they print $1 billion, there's a lot more than $1 billion hitting the economy because of this fractional reserve banking. And it's one of the reasons that it's like a house of cards, our financial system, and it's not that hard to pull down a house of cards.
Which is why Bitcoin was so attractive to so many of us, because we saw that. And it was one of those things when it felt like hard money in some ways, like you can't, anyways, but
I still have a lot of faith in Bitcoin. I think,
I still have a lot of faith in a lot of the projects, believe it or not.
Absolutely. No, they're going to get there. It's just the problem is that it's not going to happen fast.
No, I watched Digital Asset News. Was it last night, Tim? I think we were watching it last night. And Rob from Digital Asset News, he just looks defeated. Here's the thing. Everybody who's in this space that are talking about this stuff look defeated. But I think it's everybody feels defeated. It doesn't matter whether you are a stockholder, whether you're a crypto holder, whether you're a real estate holder. People feel somewhat defeated outside of the freaking Oracle, who's probably sitting on a $15,000 coin that he's told us all about. And we're all going to go, why didn't we listen to Ken?
But I mean, here's the thing, though, in this market, in these conditions, and as things get worse, all you have to do is just pull your investments back to your high conviction investments, your blue chips, things that are going to survive. And as long as you still have income coming in that you can support yourself, you'll be fine on the other end. And all of your investments, whether it be Bitcoin, whether it be CN Rail or whoever, they're all going to be going up. You're going to have that money. You're going to be in good shape. But the big thing is to make sure that you can support yourself.
Well, that's it. So that Dan, or that Digital Asset News, Rob, he was saying the same thing. He said, if you keep just pulling the charts, like pull everything out and look at it from further back, like if you were just looking at it from right up here, you're only seeing a small picture of what's really going on. But if you pull back and you really look at what it was, it's still on a trajectory, like up. Like a lot of this it's just that there's probably not going to be another black swan event. Like Bitcoin was a black swan for Tim and I. That was a big, giant leap up in an investment that we took a risk on, right? So it'll always be one of my first loves. But
well, keep in mind too, though, once we get to the other side of the bear market and we start moving back into bullish territory, you don't need a black swan event to improve your life. Everything's going to start rising. It's kind of like all boats rise when the tide rises.
Yeah.
So you're going to see that. And even now, there's lots of ways to make money in this market. For example, last night, I was looking for a way to make some money this morning. So I was looking at earnings reports. And there was an earnings report for a little gold company. And they were going to announce their earnings just before open this morning. Now, I did a huge amount of fundamentals on this before I was willing to, and then I dropped $4,000 on them last night at close. Then this morning, the second they opened, I was in there selling it immediately. Why? Because I knew they were going to do well, and I knew there was going to be a quick bump in the morning, and I caught that bump. It was only $200, but $200 in 1 minute for work is really not a bad return on your investment.
$200 a day is not bad.
No. But the thing is, if you're doing this type of stuff, because this is day trading, folks. Day trading is dangerous. Don't do it at home unless you know what you're doing. You want to make sure you do all your homework, because almost every other little tiny gold stock that I know of, if I had tried that on, I probably wouldn't have made 200. I probably would have lost 500.
Right.
So you really want to be making sure you have a good understanding of what you're doing to do that. But I mean, that's how I make a lot of my money is, I just, do a little bit of day trading. But I'm very conservative and I look for perfect opportunities when I'm doing it. That's why I don't lose.
Yeah.
I may lose like $10 here, $10 there, but then I win it back pretty quick.
Yeah.
I use the word win on purpose because it's almost like that when you're day trading, because it's almost like gambling in many ways.
Yeah. No, I get it. So this has been fun. I always love having chit chats with you guys. It keeps my head in the game. I literally thought we didn't have anything to talk about tonight. I thought, oh my God, we have nothing to talk about. And partially because the summer is harder to, I don't know, like when we have a spare moment, I'm not sitting in front of my computer watching things. I'm sitting on my patio looking at the lake and enjoying the evening, that kind of stuff. So it's a lot harder to pull this information together. So I'm really grateful that you came on tonight, Candace, and Ken, same thing. Ken, tell us a little bit about what's going on in the world of the freaking Oracle show. Is everybody good over there? Like I haven't seen Andrew in a bit. Is he okay? What's going on with Andrew?
He's saying he's got COVID.
No.
Yeah, that's what he says. I don't know. Because he just got a new job, so I don't know.
He got a new job again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's a janitor now.
Oh,
A full-fledged janitor.
Excuse me.
Oh, does
I'll
he
tell you
work
that-
at nights, days? Like, what does he? What
I
does
think it's
he-
nights. I think it's nights cleaning offices and whatnot.
That's fun.
I'll tell you the thing about COVID. I still have a small tickle in the back of my throat that's just taking its good old time leaving.
That took about a month for me, Candace.
Yeah, but
Did it?
I
Okay.
was good 6 weeks when I was coughing.
Oh
I had
yeah,
cough
no,
drops.
that's the last thing to leave.
I
Hey,
had tea.
Ken, didn't you say you were going to start a new thing?
Maybe.
What did you say you were going to do?
You have to tune into his show Friday nights and Saturday nights to find out more.
No, just tell us when you're starting.
Well, first of all, he's going to. He can't because it's in darkness right now. You can't. It's just we have to keep him in the shadows.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Starting a new show, let's just say.
Okay, but give us a little bit of a. There's only 17, so.
Well, it'll have its ups and downs.
What does this mean?
And it'll have an open and a close.
No,
Yeah.
this is
I
the
thought it was
worst
gonna be a short-
And sometimes you'll feel blue.
Oh my gosh. Listen, this is the worst introductory to a new thing ever. Like
People who know what we're talking about get it.
There's some people that know. Check
If
the
you're a
comments.
fan of chickens, you will love his new channel. That's all I'm saying.
chickens. Are you going to be killing chickens on your show?
Well, he didn't kill it.
No.
Somebody else did.
What?
I don't
I took
understand.
that down, Candace. I took it down.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, dear.
Okay, so Ken's show, Freaking Oracle, Friday and Saturday nights.
Got to
Is it
tune in to
still-
find out more.
Okay,
Gotta
wait.
find it,
Are
tune
you
out
still
more.
able to just come on and anybody come on and talk on your show? Is that still a thing, or will that
Yep,
change
yep.
too?
Well, I did get a bullying warning. Strike
Oh,
warning.
warning.
Warning. Yeah.
Well,
What
that's
the
good,
heck
'cause that doesn't
happened?
count.
My brother and somebody new got into it. Apparently somebody that was watching didn't like it, so they reported it and then they unsubscribed. So
If someone reports it, do you know who reported it?
no, it's anonymous.
Hmm.
So you could be streaming to like Facebook or Twitter, and somebody just doesn't like what you're saying, then they can go into YouTube to your channel and report it.
Oof.
And with my show, you know,
I think
We're not going to poke. You're going YouTube. That was mild compared to the stuff that guy
I've
missed,
seen
right?
some pretty crazy things that the haters out there will do. Like I've heard of like swatting, where they
What?
Swatting. What they do is they call up the police and they would give Ken's address and say that he's planning to commit some horrendous crime, and then like
That
all
could
the police
happen.
will show up and
That happened in
arrest
London.
Ken.
that
What?
happened in London. It was on the radio today. There was like a TikToker YouTuber, and they sent an email to the municipality of London or to the mayor's office or whatever, and they said that they were gonna shoot the mayor or some stupid thing like that.
Oh, jeez.
And then the London SWAT team showed up at that person's house because of course they signed it with their name and their address. Yeah, look it up. It happened in London.
Oh my
London,
God.
Ontario. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was watching a YouTuber give a response. This guy in the States, one of the things that happened to him is one of the people in the fans called up and said that he killed his wife and this and that. So the police showed up. They arrested him. They handcuffed his wife. Even though the wife was alive, they still took him in, and it took him about almost a day to get out of jail.
Yep.
When he was completely innocent. It was just because some troll decided to. That's one of the reasons that you want to be really careful with your address, because you don't want people like out there to get your address, your exact address, because then they can do stuff like that.
Wow.
What is this world becoming?
What's the matter with people?
Seriously.
Yeah.
That's scary.
It's those people that can't park on the side of the road. I know it. I knew it.
It might be those people. Now, usually it's younger people who, they just they think it's funny, and so
or they don't go all the way through the ramifications of what you saying something to somebody does to them and their reputation. And it's like everybody kind of believes that everybody needs retribution or payback.
Well, and here's the thing, luckily, as far as I know, it hasn't happened yet, but there's always the chance that when you've got live rounds with police, with a SWAT team, there's always a chance that person, that YouTuber or, Twit person or whoever, they could easily get shot by mistake, if the police think they have a weapon or something. So, somebody could die because of this.
My God, this is crazy. We're living in really weird, crazy times. Candace, what do you got going on over at Mountain Finance?
Well, let's see. Tomorrow I have I finally decided to do a Dollarama video, so I've got that for tomorrow. I know it's
on the stock.
Yeah, the stock for Dollarama. It's actually doing really, really well, even in the bear market. So, check that out. And then on Saturday, I don't know yet what that video is going to be, but here's the thing. It's my 100th long form video. So I probably need to do something special for it. So whatever that is, I don't know. I thought about, I could just list 100 stocks. And I'm like, no, that would take 2 hours. So I've got to figure out something special for Saturday. And then we'll be back in with the live stream on the weekend, back on Monday with another video, and back here next week, same time, same bat channel.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it. Well, we don't have anything. We're babysitting dogs. We had 3 up until yesterday, got rid of 1. Now we've got just 2. It's been a bit of a handful. And I wanted to read an excerpt before we go from a book that was written in 1957 by a lady named Ayn Rand. And the book was called Atlas Shrugged. Okay. And it's a little bit controversial, but it spoke a little bit of something to me this morning because I like her and I've read that book. That book is this big. It's massive. It says, when you see that in order to produce, you need to obtain permission from men who produce nothing. When you see that money is flowing to those who deal, not in goods, but in favors. When you see that men get richer by graft and by pull than by work, and your laws don't protect you against them, but protect them against you. When you see corruption being rewarded and honesty becomes a self-sacrifice, you may know that your society is doomed. So I just thought, I read that this morning and I read that whole book and it kind of spoke to me because I feel like we're in a little bit of a weird space right now with a lot of that stuff. And she wrote that book. She was very controversial in 1957. And I dare say she's probably controversial today by many standards, but there's some truth to what she's saying. So anyways, we hope to see everybody next Wednesday, and we hope you all have a great rest of the week and the weekend. And thank you to everybody that's stuck it out, Marie Claude and Phil and all the other contributors in the chat today. You guys are awesome. We really, really appreciate it, and hope to see you again next Wednesday on maybe Crypto Night in Canada, but maybe the Danter Banter. Take care.
Bye, everybody.